Imagine giving birth to your first child, only to have your husband stare at you like a stranger, accusing you of betrayal in front of doctors and nurses, all because the baby's skin color didn't match his. Whose child is this? He growled while the hospital room turned into a courtroom. What happened next would spark courtroom battles, DNA shocks, national headlines, and a twist that no one, not even the husband, saw coming. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping stories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. It all began on a rainy Tuesday in New Haven, Connecticut, when Emily Dawson, a 28-year-old Caucasian woman with soft green eyes and a background in nonprofit advocacy, was wheeled into the delivery room to give birth to her and her husband, Mark's first child, a long-awaited miracle after 3 years of failed IVF and countless tears. Mark, a reserved yet traditionally minded software engineer with strong roots in Boston, held her hand with trembling fingers, murmuring, "We're finally going to be a family." But as the baby's first cries pierced the sterile silence of the room and the nurse gently placed the child in Emily's arms, the joy that had filled Mark's eyes instantly collapsed into disbelief. Their baby, beautiful and healthy, had brown skin, dark curly hair, and warm almond-shaped eyes, features that clearly didn't resemble Mark or Emily's known lineage. For a moment, time stopped. Mark's grip released from Emily's hand, his mouth opened, but no words came. Then in a sharp breath, he uttered, "Whose baby is this?" The nurse shifted uncomfortably. Emily, sweaty and exhausted from the pain of labor, stared at him with confusion. "She's ours." "Mark, what do you mean?" Mark backed away, his voice rising in panic and rage. "Emily, don't lie to me. This isn't my child. What did you do? Who is the father?" And just like that, within minutes of becoming a father, Mark turned cold, stepped away from the bed, and stormed out of the hospital without signing the birth certificate, leaving Emily broken, humiliated, and utterly alone. The days that followed were a wind of emotional chaos. Emily begged Mark to return, but he refused to take her calls. He moved into a hotel, filed for divorce, and demanded a paternity test. The media picked up on the story through Mark's influential family, who had deep political ties, and soon tabloids ran with wild headlines. "White woman gives birth to black baby, husband alleges infidelity." Anonymous threats began arriving at Emily's home. Her parents were mortified, and worst of all, Mark's legal team sought full custody to protect the child from an unstable mother. But Emily remained firm. She had never cheated, not once, not ever. With the help of her college friend Denise, a brilliant black attorney who had once worked civil rights cases, Emily launched her own investigation. First, she requested the hospital's genetic records and IVF documentation. That's when the first twist hit. The clinic had made a mistake. Emily's fertilized egg had been mistakenly implanted with donor sperm due to a clerical error. But when she was finally allowed access to the donor profile, her hands trembled. The donor was indeed black, but he wasn't just anyone. He was a decorated former Marine, honor student, and now a celebrated tech entrepreneur named Donovan James, who had unknowingly fathered her daughter. Emily reached out to him, and what followed changed everything. Donovan, shocked but honorable, agreed to meet Emily. Sitting in a coffee shop across from her, holding a photo of baby Alyssa, he whispered, "I think she has my mother's eyes." He expressed sympathy and respect for Emily's integrity, especially after hearing how she refused to abandon her child despite everything. Meanwhile, Mark remained stubborn, still demanding custody and public apologies from Emily. But his world began to crack when the full IVF truth became public and the hospital's negligence was exposed. Emily filed a lawsuit against the clinic, seeking damages not out of vengeance, but to ensure her daughter would never feel like she was a mistake. At court, Mark tried to play the victim, claiming he had been blindsided and emotionally manipulated. But the judge, an African-American woman named Justice Elora Grayson, stared him down and said, "This court doesn't punish a mother for loving her child unconditionally, but it does punish cowardice masquerading as moral outrage." Mark was denied custody. His reputation began to crumble. Then came the biggest twist of all. While searching for more background on Donovan, hoping to at least have some information for Alyssa's future, Emily discovered another detail. Donovan and Emily shared a rare genetic marker. Upon further DNA testing, it was revealed they were distant cousins, fifth cousins, through a branch of Emily's ancestors who had enslaved Donovan's family generations ago. It was a tangled lineage of tragedy and irony, made even more powerful by the child now symbolizing a bridge between two historical wounds. When Donovan learned this, he said, "Maybe she was meant to be born exactly this way. Maybe she's our shared redemption." As news spread, media that once demonized Emily now celebrated her. She became a public speaker on medical accountability, interracial family dynamics, and reconciliation. Mark tried to sue for defamation but was laughed out of court. Eventually, he vanished into obscurity, bitter and alone. Years passed. Emily raised Alyssa with grace. Donovan became a close friend and father figure, and together they built a support foundation for IVF families affected by medical error. Alyssa grew up knowing she was wanted, cherished, and powerful. At age 7, she stood on stage beside her mother and said, "I'm the proof that love matters more than skin, secrets, or mistakes." The audience erupted in applause. And Emily, once cast out by her husband, now stood stronger than ever, respected, resilient, and radiant with purpose. Because when the world doubted her, she fought not just for her daughter, but for truth, legacy, and healing. In the end, what she did wasn't just unexpected, it was revolutionary.